welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, about 9:30 p.m. And we're here for a special little NBA season preview. Lee, how you been? How you doing?
I've been all right, doing all right. How about yourself, bud?
Pretty good. So there's two games tonight. By the time this comes out, they'll be over. It's probably coming out Wednesday morning. I'm sure a lot of people won't even watch it before everyone has their first game on Wednesday night either.
Yeah,
But I figured we'd start with some of the big moves of the offseason here. Two big free agency names that I'm thinking that most people will want to talk about is Paul George going to the Sixers,
yeah,
and then Klay Thompson moving away from the Splash Brothers going to Dallas.
yeah,
What are your thoughts on those two moves there? And is there any other free agent moves that you can think of that you want to talk about?
yeah. First and foremost, I think the big one, the Klay Thompson, leaving the Warriors and going to the Mavericks, I
Mm-hmm.
think is just is it's just wild to hear because when you think of Golden State Warriors, you think of the Splash Brothers with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, being a dynamic duo on that 3-point line and just being able to terrorize teams because if Steph's having an off day, Clay's going to be on, and of course, if Clay's off, Steph's doing his thing every night. But just interesting that he did not re-sign with Golden State and decided to um, go to the Mavericks. And him and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are going to be a very interesting big three right there. Just to have them on the same team. So it's going to be different to see with the Mavericks, or I'm sorry, with the Warriors not having Klay Thompson and now the Mavericks, him being on that team with them. This might make them a real championship contender this year, and so that'll be interesting. With Paul George leaving the Clippers, it was just they brought him and Kawhi together to be like a nice duo right there, and they built some players around them too. But the fact that since Kawhi has gone to the Clippers, he really hasn't been playing much, and
Mm-hmm.
just when they were making the playoffs, it's like trying to have Paul George to do everything. It just wasn't working out there with the Clippers. So that's going to make the Sixers a big contender as well, because you have him and now with Joel Embiid, as one of the top players in the league right now. And he's been in the MVP candidacy for the past couple of years because of his play and how he is on the court. Of course, he does have his injuries and things like that, but it'll be interesting to see them two together on the court together. Now that the Sixers have a 3-point shooter, so those are two big moves for sure that have gone on. That is just very interesting to see for sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so you talked about the big three in Dallas. I'm more excited, I think, for this big three and with the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Tyrese Maxey's really come on a lot. It's going to be about health, of course, with Joel Embiid. It's going to be about health with Paul George. Early in his career, it wasn't much of an issue, really, but now it's starting to go on. I don't know if it's just something that goes on when you're a Clipper. You just don't want to go on the court too much. But I don't think it's that big of a deal with George, really. But Embiid has shown himself when he's on the field or on the court. He's definitely one of the top
Yeah.
3 to 5 players in the league, I'd say. It's all about availability there with him. Going back to Dallas, it's going to depend on how healthy he is and if he can get back to where he was. Defensively, he was one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and that's just gone away from him now. So it's going to be, is he going to just be a spot up guy, spot up three guy
Mm-hmm.
in the corner? Is that going to be
Mm-hmm.
enough? Is it going to be more? It's going to be tough to see what happens there. He's not going to be asked to do too much scoring, I guess, in general, compared to when you have Doncic and Kyrie there. So maybe they can ease him back in there. Maybe he can get healthy, put him on some kind of minute limit early on in the season, so he's back fresh towards the end of the season there. But for me, I think the Paul George move is, and most people would say the bigger free agents move. But I think your Klay Thompson's the one that people would find more intriguing, more
Yeah.
interesting, just because of the name and
Mm-hmm.
what they were able to accomplish in Golden State. Now you're looking at the Golden State roster, and it's Steph and it's
Steph and Draymond Green.
Draymond's there, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens with them if they can.
Yeah.
A lot of these teams might be on. playing in the play-in. Dallas, of course, won't be in my eyes. Neither will
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Clippers, are they gonna? They're
I mean,
here. I don't know what you think, but without Kawhi, like you're saying, they don't have much star power there at all at this moment, right?
no, not at all. I mean, I don't see them as a playoff contender, and maybe not even a play-in contender this year for the playoffs. And I think I had saw an article that Kawhi is going to be out for a good bit of this year as well. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so I don't see them. They don't. I don't even know who's on that team right now. I mean, it might be James Harden and Russell Westbrook. I think might be the only two guys, and those two are getting older as well. You know, they're not the elite guys they were when they were in their prime. So, you know, I don't really foresee them to really, you know, pushing them to be a playoff contender this year. So I really don't see the Clippers as doing anything this year. Another name that you had asked me, you know, if I was anybody else I could think of, Karl Anthony Towns
Yeah, I was just about to
to the
get into that.
Knicks.
That's a trade there. So yeah, that's the big trade
Yeah.
of the offseason. That was Karl Anthony Towns going to the Knicks along with Michael Bridges, Mikal Bridges for Dante DiVincenzo, Julius
Hmm.
Randle, first round pick, and a couple other moves. The Hornets are also in that trade. I don't want to talk too much about the Hornets, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, but you have that big trade. You have the Knicks getting Cat. You get Timberwolves getting Randall and DiVincenzo there. What are your thoughts on who did better there in that trade? And then which team do you see is more of a contender for a championship this year?
Yeah, so you know, with that trade, you know, just having you on when Cat was on the Timberwolves, you had him and Rudy Gobert at one, or I think yeah, them two together, two
Mm-hmm.
big guys that were, you know, on down in the paint, and then you have the upcoming star Anthony Edwards right now coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that them two, having them three on a team right there could definitely push them to be a contender as well. Now that you have Karl Anthony Towns, you have him with Jalen Brunson, who is a very talented star who's coming up into this league.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's AJ Barrett's on that team as well. I think that they have now put themselves into a contender league. Now the Timberwolves are now a lot younger. Now you have Rudy Gobert, who is definitely one of the top defenders of the league. Anthony Edwards is coming up
Mm-hmm.
into this league, becoming a superstar himself. So I can still see the Timberwolves as maybe being playoff contenders, but I think that the Knicks made themselves into a better contender for being pushing themselves further into the playoffs than the Timberwolves right now with gaining Cat. I mean, it's just they have a great center now, and now you tie him with Jalen Brunson. I think them two are going to be a nice duo for that team in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could be one of the trades that it works for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously the Knicks get the best player in the trade, and usually that's the team who wins the trades. I think that a lot of times we try to get fancy and everything like that, but the fact is they got Karl Anthony Towns. He's a great player. Like you said, the combo with him and Jalen Brunson's probably going to be very effective throughout the season. But I think this opens up things for Anthony Edwards with Minnesota that
Yeah.
maybe he can take that next step. He was starting to take it a little bit last season. Felt like maybe hit a little bit of a wall at some point there. But if he can get past that wall and the way this team is set up, I like the starting five. I like the bench guys that Minnesota has. It can be an interesting
Mm-hmm.
team to watch down the stretch here. I think both teams help themselves out a lot with those trades there. The final thing, the best acquisition for sure, biggest story of the offseason we haven't brought up yet is the Los Angeles Lakers were able to pick in the second round of the draft LeBron James Jr., of
Yeah.
course. But that's the obvious greatest pick of the draft night. One of the best guys you're going to get in this league for years ahead is going to be Bronny James. They also picked up the next Phil Jackson for the Lakers and JJ Redick. So what are your thoughts on those two moves in general? And then if you want to go into the Lakers in general too, that works fine for me too. But go ahead and thoughts on Bronny and JJ Redick.
Yeah. very interesting moves for sure. I mean, it's been talked about for years. First and foremost, I'm a huge LeBron James fan. I've been a fan of his since he was in Cleveland, and I had a debate with John Moser. I think he's the GOAT. That's just what it is. There's been talk for years with LeBron playing with his son, and it's happening. I think it's great and things like that. And I think it's a nice little, could be to help LeBron with his send off to retirement soon. We don't know when that's going to be, but it's a nice little just send off for him, because we never had a father son duo thing in the NBA before like that. One of the best ones was Ken Griffey Jr. and his father playing was with the Marlins together, I think, at one point.
Mariners.
Mariners. And you see it in baseball. You didn't get a chance to really see it anywhere else, and now you're seeing it in basketball. I think it's just a nice little thing. I don't know where this is going to be. From seeing Bronny James play, he's a decent player. I don't think he's NBA caliber yet. I think he, you get that chance in the NBA now. You can, do 1 year and then join the NBA. That's fine and all. Do what's best for your career and things like that. I don't see him as being a starter at any point. He may end up on the G League when this, as things progress throughout the season, as the season starts, just to get some more, time in onto the court and things like that, to get more reps and things like that. He may come in off the bench, but I don't foresee him really being a big player for the Lakers this season. The Lakers have just been changing coaches like the seasons change every couple months. I mean, it's kind of crazy. LeBron and JJ Redick had a little podcast going. Now all of a sudden, he's the head coach of the Lakers. JJ Redick, nothing against him. He was a very talented player, great 3-point shooter in college and in the league. I can't say that this is just going to be a great little acquisition for the Lakers that they did this year. We will have to see how things play out as the season goes on for them. I know they play tonight against, I think the Timberwolves is their game at 10 o'clock Eastern. So it'll take a few games, a few weeks into the season just to kind of see how things play out. But I mean, it's another story. Here we go for the Lakers. I think a lot of it is entertainment for sure, and a lot of it just is to try to boost ratings and things like that right now. It'll be interesting to see. Again, as a LeBron James fan, I want to see him win. I don't know how this is going to play out this year, so we'll have to maybe do a mid-season review. With this, with our podcast as the season goes on, to kind of see where things stand right now. But right now, I'm not really jumping on this JJ Redick train and LeBron James Jr. train on being on the team. I think it's great for both of them, but right now, I got to see how things are going to progress with the season for the Lakers.
Yeah, positives. You want to spin positive. I was making the jokes before. It is a cool story to see a father-son out there. Maybe it helps to give some youth into LeBron, just being out there with his son. Yeah. Maybe get some extra juice and just a little family vibe going on there. I'm not going to say much more about Bronny James and what he's going to be able to bring to the table as an actual player on the court. I do think they're going to get him in there together at some point, probably within the first couple of weeks of the season. And then, like you're saying, maybe that after that happens, you see him go down to the G League for a little bit. With JJ Redick, I don't know. Something about his demeanor and the way his attitude is already. He got checked a couple times in the opening press conference with some of the things he said. I'm curious to see how he reacts to being part of this LeBron James whole dynamic. Being a coach for LeBron James is a tough job to have, and there's going to be a lot of questions come their way, especially if they fall into a little bit of a hole, which is possible. You never know. Health again. I'm going to bring up health a bunch of times. If Anthony Davis has the same issues he's had in the past. He did play a lot, I think 75 games last year. It was healthiest season in a long while. LeBron, I mean, he's getting up there in age. At some point, he has to start to slow down, you think? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Lakers there. I guess we'd be remiss not to mention the world champions. The Celtics with the first official score of the season won tonight, 132 to 109 over the Knicks in the first game. What are your thoughts on the Celtics and their chances to repeat this year?
Yeah, I mean, they have a very good team, very good coach. Starting off the season strong. They got their 18th banner put up, and they got their rings before the game started and things like that. And I mean, you have two talented guys, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the team. The Celtics are definitely contenders for the championship again. I mean, I could definitely see them making a repeat. If they can continue to play how they played last year, they'll definitely be the team to beat for this year's for the championship for the NBA season this year. I really do think they have good chances to repeat. But we'll have to see with like we talked about with some of the other trades and other free agency pickups over the season for the teams in the East, who else is going to come up there? I mean, we always, the Sixers are always in that, that conversation. Now I think the Knicks are. You have Milwaukee with Giannis. That's he's still a great, talented player in the East. So you just never know. I mean, who's going to be there, in the East? But right now, I think for the East, when you're thinking of who's the early prediction for championship, I think it's the Celtics to be there in the championship for the East and possibly going back to back.
Yeah, I like their team a lot. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're 26 and 27. They're still young. They're still going into their prime.
Yeah.
If Porzingis can come back, he's out right now with a foot thing. I think Derek White really showed out last year. He's starting to become a new zone. They still got Horford out there. I don't know how much he'll be playing. He's still getting up there in age. I really do like their team. They got Jrue Holiday out there too. A lot of guys that should have pretty good seasons. They're still young. They don't have a lot of those issues that some of these other teams have with aging and all those things. I think that they're in a prime spot to have a good season again, like you were saying. I now want to go into some little different lists that I've been able to find. The first one I got here is the ESPN top 10 player list. For this year. I figured I was going to go through it and let you guess. Don't overthink it. Who do you think they got as the number one guy right now in the NBA?
It's got to be Jokic, right?
Yeah, we got Jokic there. I think that's the number one pick for sure. Next one here, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. He had a great playoff. So who do you think is number two?
Is it Jason Tatum?
Nope, it's Luka Doncic. Number
Luka
two.
Doncic. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
He led the playoffs in scoring, assists, and maybe rebounds also. So he had a great postseason, so that he was able to go in there. The next three to run out the top five are Giannis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jason Tatum. What are your thoughts on those three? Anything that stands out for you there?
Yeah. It's definitely. Was it the top four? You said Jokic, Luka, Giannis,
Shai,
and
then
Tatum. Which I'm kind of shocked that with Tatum winning the championship, he wasn't at least top three. But I mean, yeah, they all had great seasons. Giannis is, again, he's always in an MVP candidacy right now with just how he's playing. Shai Gilgeous was, I think he was like leading last year in MVP votes at one point until I think he got injured and other things happened with the team. And then Jason Tatum, of course, I mean, just a very talented player. I think that he didn't get the credit he got for being MVP for the NBA Finals. I think his numbers were better than Jaylen Brown's, but I could be wrong there, but it was just interesting to see that, with you naming those, that he was top five, not top three. But
then the next four names are all Hall of Famers, Olympic gold medalists, all the accolades we got here. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and Kevin Durant. That's 6 through 9 there. Curry at 6, LeBron at 7. I think that is that controversial. Is that fair? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fair at this point of at
Uh-huh.
their times in their career. I mean, LeBron is almost 40. He's still playing like a top player, but I mean, one thing that Steph has over him right now is definitely the 3-point shooting
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit more youth. I mean, of course, I think Steph's like 36 right now, 35, 36, something like
I think
that.
he's in year 16 himself.
Yeah, so he's getting up there in age as well, but he definitely is still a better pure shooter than LeBron. So I can see that as giving the edge of him being better than LeBron right now at 6. Being for LeBron being 7, and then you said Joel Embiid at 8, and then Kevin Durant at 9. I mean, Kevin Durant with all the talent on the Suns, I just don't understand how they cannot. I mean, you have him, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. And of course, Bradley Beal's not like
he's not on that
elite
level.
guy, but he still is a very talented 3-point shooter. Devin Booker is an all-star. And you have Kevin Durant, who is arguably up there in the top 10 greatest players of all time. You could possibly say, if you wanted to, top 15, whatever. And the fact that team just cannot do anything. But I think that's a good, decent list right there for top 9. Just curious to hear who's 10.
I'm going to ask you, give me your guess. Who would you have at 10? Who do you think they got at 10?
Out of the players right now who I would have at 10, I would probably have at 10, right now, probably
the player we've mentioned and talked
Anthony
about.
Edwards.
Yep, that's the answer. 10 number is Anthony Edwards there.
Okay.
So just to get it out there, it's Jokic, Doncic, Giannis, Shea, Tatum, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, and Anthony Edwards as the top 10. Who's a guy you think got snubbed there? For me, just based off what he did in the playoffs last year, I think Jalen Brunson's a name that could have snuck into the top 10 there, but he wasn't the guy who made it. Is there anyone else you're thinking of that could be top 10 based off right now, what we've seen, who you think should be top 10? And then I got another question afterwards.
I mean,
snub-wise,
I definitely agree with you on the Jalen Brunson. I think another guy who's very talented on the defense that doesn't get a lot of credit is Rudy Gobert. I think is somebody that could have possibly snuck in at 10, just because of his defensive play. I mean,
it's a good list. If you think the list is good,
it's a great list. No, I think it's a great list. Maybe, like you said, Jalen Brunson and maybe a Rudy Gobert, like somebody, that's playing, that's well-rounded on defense and things like that, that can make or break a game defensively. So maybe just those two.
Yeah. So my next question would be, who do you think jumps into the top 10 after this season? It can either be bounce back guys, it could be young guys that are stepping up completely. For me, couple names that I was thinking of, guys that can bounce back and show they can be top 10 guys. I have Devin Booker and Anthony Davis, the two names that I thought of myself. I don't know if you have any names that you're thinking of. I left you a layup that you can put in there as a top 10 for a guy who's young, who might be jumping into that top 10 soon, I think.
Those two are definitely great picks. I think if Damian Lillard can get on this season, he could possibly get in there. Maybe even who else did I want to say? Tyrese Halliburton, if he could get on with 3-point shooting, he could possibly get there.
The guy at number 11 that I wanted to leave for you, but maybe you're not as high on him as the rest of ESPN, is Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio. You're not a fan yet?
Not yet. I'm not a fan yet. I got to get another year or two of play.
Some people have Wemby in their top 10 already. ESPN has him at 11, so he's right on the edge there. But
I think his height gives him an edge. I think that's just that kind of what
I
it
mean, it
is.
counts though. It's not like
Yeah, of course. No, of
LeBron's
course.
really good because he jumps high and he's
Yeah,
big and
yeah,
physical.
yeah.
That's the NBA too. Is height.
Of course,
I
of
don't think
course.
that's something to hold against him.
Well, and I think also because I think he won Rookie of the Year. I think that's another reason why. And he's very talented. I'm not saying that he's not. Just to see his play of games I did get to see with him play. I mean, he's a very talented star. I just need to see some more of him. As this season progresses, maybe he might change my mind and being a top 10 player of the league this year as well. So we'll have to see how his season plays out with the Spurs.
One last name I have.
That's another thing. Another interesting thing. Interesting. Real quick before you jump in, I there was something else. Chris Paul to the Spurs. I didn't realize.
That's gonna be interesting.
I think that is something. So that'll be interesting to see him and
a lot of layup,
a
lot of dunks, a lot of easy dunks. I think from him in his future. The last name, who last year, if you say this, everyone would be on board. Maybe 2 years ago actually, because the end of the 2020 2022-2023 season, we'll say, is a guy who had a lot of off the court issues as Ja Morant. He's still very young. He's still got a shot if he can come on the court. He doesn't have that suspension this year, and he can come and be healthy. I think he's a guy that people will forget the off-field stuff real quick if he's able to get the Grizzlies into back to where they were before his issues, I guess you can call them. Yeah, for sure.
He's another one of those that's just talented players. I saw an interview with him once, and a reporter was asking him, of all the players in the league, who do you want to dunk on? He said LeBron. He's like, that's the one guy I want to dunk on. And he's like, it hasn't really gotten there yet, but he wants to. There was like a kind of a dunk, I think it was 2 years ago in a playoff game. It might have been, I think, with the Grizzlies and Lakers. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember, but it was kind of a dunk. The ball wasn't completely in his hand. It was a little bit out of his hand, and it went in over LeBron. He was up, so I guess I'll give him that. But he's definitely a talented player, young guy that can definitely change things around for the Grizzlies in his career. If he can definitely have a good season, make the All-Star team, put up some good numbers, and, lead his team to the playoffs. I think, like you said, a lot of the fans and players and sportscasters and reporters will forget about a lot of that off-field, off the court stuff that he had. If he's definitely becoming the player that we could see the potential that he has. I almost kind of, just because of how he plays and his speed and that, he's like a younger Westbrook right now, Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? So I can see some similarities there, and so he definitely could get up there as well in that top 10. Depending on his play. So that's another guy for sure that we haven't talked about a lot. But if like you said, if Devin Booker or Anthony Davis, Ja Morant, a lot of these guys have great seasons. They deserve, even Wemby, they deserve to be top 10 this year. We'll just have to, like I said, if we could do like a mid-season of this, come back and see how these players are, we could definitely maybe re-rank them how their play has been. So we could definitely do that.
Just ending off, how about we do a little draft here of MVP candidates? Do you want the first pick or the next two? We'll do 3 picks, and then after that, try to find someone that maybe is outside the top 10 or so that you'd have as like a long shot MVP candidate here.
Okay, so,
do you want first pick or?
No, you can go first.
Okay. I'm just gonna go Jokic again. Why?
Yeah.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I'm going Jokic. He's my number 1 here. So you get the next 2.
I'm gonna go Luka and Embiid.
Okay, Luka and Embiid. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll take the next 1. Let's go with Shea. I think that the Thunder are going to win a lot, and maybe people want to give it to him just because of last season. Even people got his name on their minds. So I'll go Shea.
Okay, and then you want us to pick somebody out of the top 10? You said
no. You got one more pick for this, and then do the outside the top
10. Let's go. let's go Jason Tatum. I think
Okay.
it's almost that time.
Yeah, they're going to be winning. He's got the title. He's got the
Yeah.
recognition. I like it there. I'm going to go with Giannis. Giannis is
Okay.
still
Yeah.
his numbers last year were really good. The team fell off, but he still had
Yeah.
some great numbers there. So outside the top 10, I think I'm going to go with Anthony Davis as my
Okay.
guy there. I think he stays healthy. He's going to probably take on more of a load this season, you'd think. As LeBron ages, I think Anthony Davis is my guy that I'm going to have on the that's outside the top 10 right now that I would take as a long shot MVP candidate. Who do you got out there?
I'll go with depending on his play and
it's the MVP
health and things like that. I'm just gonna go with Damian Lillard.
Okay, Damian Lillard. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got two teammates.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's MVP talk. I have Jokic, Shea, and Giannis. You have, and then Anthony Davis is a long guy. You got Embiid, Luka, and Jason Tatum. Long shot being Damian Lillard there. One last thing to talk about is who's going to win this NBA title. I have broken this into 3 tiers. I want you to take a name from each of these 3 tiers and give me as your pick here. The first one I got is it's tier 1 is going to be the favorites. And I got 8 teams here. I just want you to give me one team. We got the Celtics, the Thunder, the Knicks, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, 76ers, Mavericks, and Bucks. According to Las Vegas, each one of them have plus 14 or better odds, with the Celtics as the number one at plus 310 as the favorite to win the title this year.
Got to go with Celtics to repeat.
Yeah.
That's what I got to do. Got to go with Celtics. I think that they are the favorites right now, and I think that they have 2 talented stars with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and they could definitely repeat.
There's a lot of interesting teams on there. I think I'm going to take the Thunder out of there. I don't think they're going to get it. Nuggets, I love the Nuggets. I love Jokic, but depth-wise, I mean, you can get depth as the season goes on. Knicks, I think last year was a little bit of a fever dream for them. I know they get Anthony Towns. I'm going to go 76ers. I know they haven't had the greatest time, but I'm going to go 76ers for this season.
Okay. All right.
I just have a feeling with them. And then next list, I have the tier 2. I got these guys as dark horses.
Okay.
You have the Lakers, the Suns, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, and the Heat. They have odds from plus 3,000 to plus 4,500. The Lakers and Suns at 3,000. The Heat at 4,500. So those are 5 teams for you to pick from there.
She said Lakers, Suns, Heat,
Warriors, and Grizzlies.
I think the Warriors dynasty is done. I don't think that they got anything going. The Grizzlies, I think, are still a little too young. I think they're still maybe a player away. And, I don't think that it's going to be them. What we've seen from the Suns is just I want to pick them as a dark horse. But for some reason, the 3 of them can't even get on the court together throughout a season, to play games and things like that. And I have a feeling Durant's not going to stay there much longer either. He's going to be gone. Who are the other 2? Lakers and
Grizzlies?
No.
Did you say Grizzlies? You talking about
I said the Grizzlies already.
the Heat.
Do it. Heat. I don't think Jimmy Butler's a very talented player, but I don't think it's going to be the Heat. I have to go with the Lakers dark horse, not just because of LeBron. I just out of those 5 teams, I see the Lakers as a better contender than the rest of those teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Lakers are the best pick here. Just to be contrarian, I will go with the Suns because you still got you have Durant, you have Booker. That should be enough for you to do something in the playoffs. It hasn't been yet, but they got to figure that shit out. And I think the 2 of them can do it. Both of them. I mean, I don't think the egos are that big of the problem there. I think both of them are willing to play with each other. I just think it's just not worked out so far. The Suns will be the guys I pick for that. And then finally, some long shots. I got 6 names here. Pelicans, Pacers, Cavaliers, Magic, Kings, and Clippers.
Ugh. 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 The
Long
bottom
shots,
of the
remember.
yeah, long shots for sure.
Uh,
I think I might have to go with the Pacers. I think that they have a
yeah.
young roster. Tyrese Halliburton is I think he's going to start coming up as a superstar in this league. Of course, the Cavaliers have made some moves. They have Donovan Mitchell and some other players that I think that they can be a potential playoff play-in or like maybe a low seed in the playoffs this year. But I think out of that list, I'm gonna have to go with the Pacers for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird setup here. I think part of it's some teams that have potential. Part of it's teams that have high floors, like the Cavs, the Magic, the Kings. I think they'll all be playoff teams, right? But
Yeah,
I don't see them as contenders for the title. Clippers with Kawhi, you can't trust it. So the question is, do you want to go safe? You want to go here? Pacers are a team there. Pelicans, they got some guys that if Zion's coming back, if he's
yeah.
back to what he is, they picked up JaDontae Murray. Brandon Ingram's been a solid player for them. They got CJ McCollum, Herb Jones. There's some names out there for them that I think I'll take the Pelicans in this list there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
all different teams for us for sure. Yeah. Different teams that we picked.
So overall, you went Celtics. I went Sixers. What do you have on the east, the West? Then coming out of the West, who you have for the conference final, or who's going to win the final, the conference, Western Conference? Oh yeah.
I think I'm gonna take Dallas.
Yeah.
To repeat and do it. I think with adding Klay Thompson, I think it's I think it just adds more depth to that team and giving themselves a nice big three. Of course, the Nuggets are, with Jokic and Murray are very talented. I think that the Mavericks come out in the West here and take it to the championship.
I feel it. I'll go once again just to add some contrarian to the mix. I think I like the Dallas pick a lot too, but I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves. I think it's going to happen for Anthony Edwards. I think he's going to take that step forward. I do like the pieces that they have surrounding him now. You lose Karl-Anthony Towns, but I think you get some more depth there. It should be interesting to see how they can play together once they get everything going. But I think that's it, Lee. I think that's our NBA season preview.
Did you hear what your boy Anthony Edwards said? If he wins a ring, he's going to go play football.
Okay. What position did he say he was going to play? Receiver?
I didn't hear a position. I think receiver. He was talking to Justin Jefferson from the Vikings.
Okay.
He goes, if I win a ring in the next couple of years, I'm going to play football. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'll end it on that, Lee.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah.
Starts Tuesday night. Going into Wednesday. Every team plays pretty much Wednesday night, right? And then we got, 5-6 months of basketball.
5-6 months of basketball. Yep.
All right, I'll see you.